Hi everyone, and welcome to my review and stats for Circe. So I haven't said this before, but I think I should say it because my mom saw hang on, I'm going to adjust this just a second. Okay, my mom saw a post that I did on Instagram and was surprised that I spelled out the word fuck, okay? Look, I'm listing it as a stat. I don't normally talk like that. The most explicit swear words I will ever say in my everyday life, and I try not to, but is like shit and damn, okay? Or sometimes hell. So, and ass, you know. Those are the ones I generally say, if I swear at all. But the other words, I don't. And I say them as a stat because some people don't want that in the books that they read at all. Some will say if it's a 300-page book and the F word pops up 3 times, they might tolerate it, but if it pops up 15 times, they may say, no, that book is not for me. So I say the word, I list the word on my reviews on Goodreads and Instagram now with the tally of how many times it comes up. So it's a stats thing, okay? So I'm saying that in case anyone is concerned. There are 2 words I absolutely will not say, and I will not write them out. But they are not in this. So we're not going to worry about that. I will explain that when I finish the book that has those 2 words in there. But yeah, when I say F word, it could also be one of 2 words, but in this case it is fuck. So, all right, let's go ahead and talk about Circe. This one particular edition was published by Beach Bay Books, and this was published in 2020. I listened to the audiobook with it. I think the narrator did a fabulous job, and the narrator is Perdita Weeks. The audiobook is 12 hours and 8 minutes. So, this is an adult fantasy. It is based off of mythology and is a retelling. I have read Odysseus. No, I can't remember the name of the original book. I can see the cover. The edition that I have is, I think, red. But Odysseus is the main character that we're following in the original mythology. And he battles this creature with 7 heads and lands on this thing where Circe is and stuff like that. But it's all from Odysseus' perspective. This is all from Circe's perspective. And that was really interesting. Odysseus does show up in this. And is a big part of this, but we're following Circe from when she is a child. She's a god or a nymph, and goes on. Now, the word god I did not tally because it does come up in this quite a lot, but it's not a reference to like the deity that we would worship, like if you're Christian or Catholic or something like that. So it's not in reference to that. It's in reference to the Greek gods like Zeus, Hades, Persephone, Circe, you know, things like that. So I didn't feel the need to do that. Again, it comes up a lot. So again, we're following Circe, and it's just following her life, all told from Circe's perspective. How she finds what her powers are. Turns out she is a witch. How she figures that out. How she learns to listen to certain elements and plants and things like that. That she can turn people into something else, like turn a human into a god, turn a god into a monster, turn humans into pigs, which she does do that. And things like that. And so she does something where she becomes exiled, where she now lives. And so this is her punishment. She is destined to, I wouldn't say live alone, but that's one of the contingencies for where she is exiled to. Her dad is the god of the sun or something like that, or is the sun god. And this island, Ayaya, I think is how it's said, she is destined to live there all the days of her life, and which for God, the mythological gods, they can live basically for eternity. So this is a long, long punishment. and it's interesting because the gods that she has, like the big head god is Zeus. And so the one that's over her, like her father, has to go and meet with Zeus. They discuss her punishment, and Zeus is the one that hands out the punishments, type of a thing. And then her dad is the one that enforces it, etc. One thing later on, you do see that there are gods and goddesses that send their daughters to the island of Baiaia. Again, I think that's what it's called, but that's where Circe is, as punishment, as exile. And those daughters that are exiled to the island that Circe is, their punishment is much more shorter. It talks about these daughters being nymphs and things like that. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. Circe is a mother. She does get pregnant. And then her son's half-brother and her his half-brother's mother end up on the island towards the end of the book. But you don't know what the motive is. Athena makes quite an appearance in this as well. Okay, so that's pretty much what the story is. I found it very interesting. I ended up giving this one 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. And honestly, I was intimidated. This was so hyped and it sounded good, but at the same time, mythology is very intimidating to me because a lot of the times it can go over my head. But I felt that this was very manageable, very understandable for me. As well. So I really enjoyed it. I thought it was done very, very well. I think Madeline Miller did a great job of this, and I want to read Song of Achilles and the other book that she has out. I really do want to read those. So I'm keeping my copy of this, and I really enjoyed this. Okay, now let's get into stats. So things that are in here that you should be aware of. You have, I would say this does contain body horror. Okay, it's not a horror book, but it does contain body horror elements. It does get graphic. You do have what is called bestiality. So basically, in this case, it's a god, but they have sex with an animal. Okay, it does not get into details. It just says that that happened. You have a C-section that takes place. Someone's having trouble birthing their baby. And it does get explicit with the blood and guts type of a thing. You have death of a spouse during childbirth, which is just kind of glossed over. You have graphic and descriptive killings of animal sacrifices, which, I mean, people have sacrificed to the gods a lot before, so it does talk about that, and it does get a little bit more explicit with that, so animal sacrifice. You have an affair, so you have a married man that has sex with a single lady. So it is in there. And it doesn't delve into it, you just know that he is married and she is not. You have the graphic death or murder of a child, okay? Be aware of that. And you have thought of suicide. And I think the thoughts of suicide come up a couple of times. I didn't really count how often, but suicidal ideation is present. As far as words, bastard comes up 5 times. Fuck comes up 3 times. Hell once. The word rape comes up 3 times. You do have a rape scene. It gets descriptive as far as the struggle, but then you know that this particular lady was raped. So it doesn't get too graphic, but it does get more detail oriented with the struggle leading up to the actual act of the sex. Okay, there are sex scenes in this, but they are all closed door, so you do not get explicit or spicy sex scenes. The word ass comes up twice, bitch comes up 4 times, and whore 1 time. So those are the stats. I don't like using those words again, but I say them here so that you know what word is in here and how many times it comes up, so that you know if those are particular words you want nothing to do with in a book, then you'll know if this is something that you can tolerate or not when it comes to those words. So those are the stats. Let me know if you have read Circe or anything else by Madeline Miller, what your thoughts on the author's writing style is, or the book. And yeah, so just talk to me in the comment section below, and until next time, stay true to yourself and enjoy a good book, and I'll talk to you later.